Hey guys, this is Kristen with the Hiss'n Kitten Waxing Center. I'm going to talk to you about tipping your waxer. Now before I jump in, if any of y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to comment down below, like, subscribe. If any of y'all are on Facebook and you like to join groups and you're a licensed professional esthetician or cosmetologist, then feel free to join Wax Club. It is for professionals only, but it's a really nice group of people who are really helpful towards one another with answering questions and just giving advice. So if you're into that sort of thing, then feel free to join Wax Club. Okay, so let's get to it. Should you tip your waxer? So tipping can always be like a sensitive topic, right? Not everyone knows what to do. What kind of services should you tip for? Should you, not tip for? What is everyone else doing? What's like the normal thing? So I'm just going to kind of clear the air. This is also based on my own experience, my own life. Again, not everyone is the same, but hopefully this is going to help give you some insight. So in general, yes, it is customary to tip, in the service industry, then I would recommend tipping. However, I do have some sidebars on this too. So first, if you are going to go to a large chain waxing company, say a European wax center or a Waxing the City, then I don't know what Waxing the City price structure is, but I do know that they don't make a lot of money hourly, so they survive on tips. So if you're going to one of those bigger chain companies like that, I absolutely recommend tipping. I know that I used to work at European Wax Center, and this was 12 years ago, I think. Yeah. So obviously this is a while ago, but back then I made $8 an hour, 4% on services, and then some extra bonuses, small bonuses that they would give you if you hit certain sales and product, which I rarely made those bonuses because I hated their products and I'm not a good liar and I didn't want to sell something if I didn't truly believe in it. So I pretty much never hit those because I'm not going to lie to my clients. But yeah, so $8 an hour, 4% on services, and then some other smaller bonuses for product sales and stuff like that. Now, with European Wax Center, they make it difficult for you to ever be fully booked. The only way you can ever be fully booked is if you always have people just coming and requesting you, which does happen over time. It just takes a while to get your clientele built up. If a walk-in comes in, they always want to have a waxer who is just available to wax somebody at any given time. So they always have more people scheduled than what they actually need so that they can keep books open because they never want to turn down a walk-in. And then they try to keep everyone's books even. So if someone calls or whatever and says, I'm just calling to book a Brazilian wax, and you don't specify an exact waxer, they will then go look at the schedule, look at all the different, people working that day, and they will schedule it with the person who has the least amount of clients, which is understandable and appreciative if you're new and a lot of people don't know you. But if you've been there for a couple of years, obviously you would be better at your job. You would want them to schedule with you. But again, I don't know if that's how they do this at all the different locations. This is just the one that I worked at. This is what they did. Okay, so let's say I had in 1 hour, I had 4 Brazilians. So you do a Brazilian in 15 minutes, at least if you are the second level or higher, a white level, orange level, and red. Then you do a Brazilian in 15 minutes. So say I had 4 Brazilians in an hour, so that's one person every 15 minutes. Then I would have made the $8 an hour plus the $2 for each service. So that would have been $16 total. Now, this is, that's a best case scenario. Obviously, that's also assuming that nobody is tipping, which it's rare that nobody tips, but people don't tip, at least not all the time. So since the 4% on the services, that will go down if that person has a wax pass. So from my own experience, about 50 to 75% of the clients that were coming in regularly, they would get a wax pass. It makes sense. They're going to save so much money instead of just paying for each one individually. Then you pay for them up front. And then you are able to get that service instead of like, I don't remember what it was, like $55, it goes down to like $40 or something like that. Again, I can't totally remember, it was so long ago. But that means that 4% on the services, that's going to go down. It's not going to be on like the retail price of what, you know, like the highest that it would be. It's going to be, if they bought a Wax Pass, they would average it out and it would go down. So instead of getting like $2 for that Brazilian, you would only get paid like $1. So if you assume that most of your people are going to be on Wax Passes, because they are, instead of $16, it goes down to $12. Now, of course, if they tip you, then that's great. Then it can go up. But I learned to never expect that, because you don't want to get disappointed. There was one time when I had just started working there. I hadn't been there for very long. So I was really slow because I was like the lowest level of waxer. And I had a lady that came in for a full body wax. Like we did full face, we did underarms, full arms, stomach, back, Brazilian, full butt, and full legs. Took me like 3 hours. I was exhausted, and I remember being so excited, like going to the front desk to see like, oh, did she leave me a tip? And she did not, and I cried. Learned my lesson, never expect it. So, especially if you're gonna go to those big chain big chain waxing companies, I definitely recommend tipping the waxer, which anywhere, like normally what's like customary is like 10 to 20%, depending on like how much you like the service. So there's that. Now, when I went off on my own, I built in like the money that I wanted to make, I built into my pricing. So I made my pricing where if I don't get a tip, I don't care, because this is what I want to make anyway. So I never expected it. If you get it, then great. But that help my mindset so much by not like, oh, I need to make a tip in order to make profit on this. You should never be doing that. You should always set your pricing expecting that you're not going to get a tip. So then if you do get one, then it's appreciated instead of you're mad if you don't. That's just a negative place to be. If you're getting mad because someone's not tipping you, they don't have to tip you. If they tip you, it's because they want to and you did a good job. So I always recommend that. So if it's someone who's like working for themselves, it's their own salon, they get to take all that money home. Obviously less the the cost of rent, the wax itself, marketing, other materials, stuff like that. Like obviously they don't, like if you charge $59 for a Brazilian, you're not getting to keep all of that $59. But you're making so much more than the $8 an hour that I was making at European Wax Center. So it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of depends on you. I myself, anyone in the service industry that I come in contact with, I tip. I mean, obviously restaurants and stuff like that, but if anyone's coming to my house to work on something, I tip them. Anyone, like obviously like my hair girl, although I give her like a 50% tip because I only see her like 4 times a year, and actually 3, so every like 4 months I'll see her, and she's amazing, and I won't let anyone else touch my hair. But in just growing up in the service industry, I learned, like I was a waitress, learning how much that can make or break someone's life. I'm like a chronic over tipper because I don't ever want anyone to not like think that I don't appreciate them, if that makes sense. But in like general, 10 to 20% is like, they'll be happy with that. So I hope this helps. Overall, do what makes you feel comfortable. I know that not everyone tips, and that's fine. But if you're going to a larger chain waxing salon, please tip them. And then if it's someone who owns their own salon, then it's kind of on your discretion. Obviously I would, but that's just like me. Not everyone's me. But if you don't feel bad, because they are making more money because they own their own business, instead of working for someone else who is taking the majority of the money away from them. So, any questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.